Hello, everybody. This is Nikki Montana with HIT, a Metaphysical podcast, and I had the pleasure of interviewing the beautiful Miss Christina Flach. And if you guys want to find out more and watch the episode, everything's going to be in the link below and also on the Instagram at HML Podcast. And if you want to find me personally, my Instagram is at nikki.montana. Okay? I love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Mwah. Okay, guys, this is HIT, a Metaphysical Lick, and we have the beautiful guest, Miss Christina Flach. That's how you pronounce your last name.
Yes, you actually said it correctly. I get
cool.
all kinds of different versions of my last name.
Yeah, right? You never know. So I'm originally from Montana, so then I moved out to Atlanta and, kind of a little northern accent, honey. But I wanted to, share with everybody, and I'm so excited to have you on today on HIT, a Metaphysical Lick. I wanted you to tell everybody about yourself and kind of like what's going on in your life and like who you are. So.
Okay, well, my name is Christina Flach. I am a celebrity makeup artist. I am the founder and CEO of Pretty Girl Makeup. I am the mother of 5. I also am a sepsis awareness advocate because my husband, Ken Flach, who is a professional tennis player and actually used to live in Atlanta for a little while, he passed away almost 4 years ago from sepsis. So after he passed, I wanted to raise, the Sepsis Alliance asked me to raise awareness and to honor my husband. And I thought that would be a great idea. And then it segued into me speaking about grieving and grieving in a positive way. So yeah, there's a lot we can chat about.
Yeah, I'm excited. So anybody who doesn't know, I looked it up because I wasn't aware of beforehand what sepsis is. It's an infection in the bloodstream. Is that correct?
Correct. Or? Yes,
okay.
It is.
Okay. Yeah, it's a process I'm really sure that you've gone through, and I wanted you to kind of maybe like talk about your process of how you've dealt with it or how it began, maybe if you're open to talking about that.
Of course.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So my husband had bronchitis. It turned into pneumonia. His doctors didn't see him at Kaiser. And so then I got him to the hospital. They didn't see him. And the thing with sepsis is that you have to get it in a timely fashion. There's like a golden window that you can get treated and survive. And unfortunately, my husband wasn't seen and then misdiagnosed by his doctors at Kaiser. When we got to the hospital, he was spitting up blood. They told me that they were going to intubate him, which they told me that wasn't life support, but it really is life support. They told me that they were going to just put him under to clear out his lungs and that, hopefully he would be okay. And he never regained consciousness after that. So sepsis is an incredibly aggressive disease. It's not one of those colds, like, how you get a cold and go, oh, I'll wake up in the morning and if I don't feel better, I'll call the doctor.
Yeah.
You can't do that with sepsis. If you have any of the signs, and your listeners can go to sepsis.org, there's a little chart there that says time, and time means T is for temperature. You can be incredibly hot or incredibly cold. I is for infection in some place in your body, whether it be a cold or a cut or some infection growing in your body. M is for mental decline. It's hard to rouse them. They're just kind of not all there. It's affecting their thought process. And E is for excruciating pain. You feel like you're dying because you actually are dying, because it's attacking your vital organs. So, and my husband, we called the doctor Wednesday. Thursday, we went to the hospital and he was treated, was on life support. And then by Monday, his arms and legs started turning black. They said that if he survived, they would have to amputate his arms and his legs. So at that point, and they said and we knew he wasn't going to, because all his organs had shut down at that point. So I urge people, if you have any of these signs, to please go get a blood test, and they can get you on an IV antibiotic and you'll hopefully survive.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm really sorry about that whole situation, because the whole process of all that, and we'll get into, the process of it. but I'm really sorry about that happened to you, and I
Thank
hope that
you.
everything's okay with you.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you so much.
yeah, and I think it's so great that you're with the sepsis awareness, and you're trying to help make other people aware and educated about it. Um, I have been on a journey, I think kind of like my whole life, of learning how to connect with my body, like in my mind and my spirit. It's kind of like what hit a metaphysical lick is. It was just kind of catchy, but kind of like I do a lot of holistic approaches with things in terms of connecting, like, okay, how do I feel? Not only like, physically, but mentally and spiritually, and all those aspects like that. But I think it's so important for people to be able to tap into themselves. And, sometimes you're not even aware of, what may be going on inside of you health wise. But sometimes I think you can also really kind of be like, wow, this kind of feels off a little bit.
And I
Maybe.
think that's what it is with the sepsis. You and I are definitely from the same tribe, because I feel the same way. I think that the one thing, and I've learned many things on this journey in the past almost 4 years, but one of the things that I feel very strongly about is we know our bodies. We know if we have a normal cold or flu.
Yeah.
But when something like sepsis or the coronavirus, it's not a normal, the signs aren't normal. And so you really have to be, if you go to the doctor, a lot of times sepsis is so hard to diagnose because you're hot or you're cold or there's so many different things. But I think if you don't feel like you're being heard or that it's not the right answer, you really have to ask more questions or find another doctor or do something else. You can't just like go, oh, okay, because no one knows your body like you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's just, it's really important to be your best advocate, no matter what situation it is, whether it be, your health or your mental wellness. It's all very important.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. No one definitely knows your body as much as you do. That's so perfect. I suppose getting into it, what has been I know that there's, I think, the 7 stages of grieving process, I believe.
Right.
But to me, I've been through a lot of grieving myself in my life too, but I feel at times I don't always go through like each step fully. Sometimes I'll stay in a step for like ages, it seems like, or maybe I'll fully heal it faster than I expected. I guess kind of what has been your process through this whole thing of like grieving, and kind of where are you at maybe right now, supposedly?
So I went after my husband passed. One of my best friends took me to Canyon Ranch, for which she told me was going to be a spa weekend, but it actually ended up being grief camp. And I was screaming and moaning, like, I don't need this, I don't want this. But it actually was incredibly helpful for me to learn to process this situation. My son, Bo, had passed away on Christmas Day. It's going to be 15 years ago. So I've already gone, and I've lost my mom and my grandparents. I've lost my business partner. I have gone through a lot of loss.
Yeah.
And I knew, and after my son had passed, I went into a very dark place for, a while. But I realized when Ken passed that I really had to keep it together for my kids' sake. I didn't have the luxury of going off the deep end and just wallowing in my misery and sitting in bed and crying. I really had to keep it together. So, because if I'm not in a good place, it affects so many people. It affects my kids, it affects my partner. It affects a lot. So going to this grief camp, I remember walking in there and I had no makeup on. I didn't care. I kind of got lost. I was meandering around the grounds at Canyon Ranch. They had to send someone to find me. It was not good. But this woman named Rabbi Sherry Hirsch from Los Angeles, she's a rabbi, obviously,
Yeah.
but she had written this really great book called We Plan and God Laughs.
Okay.
And so she was in charge of this grief camp. And it really did help me to learn that no one's grief is worse than someone else's. Everyone grieves differently. I feel that, and you have to learn to ride life's waves.
Yeah.
I think. And I feel that I was on a hike one day and I was having this conversation with my husband in my head, as I often do. And I could hear him very clearly saying to me how hard it is for him to be up there looking down on me, sad and crying in bed at night all by myself, and he can't comfort me the way he normally would. And when I thought about it from that perspective, I thought, how horrible would that be? We think we're honoring our loved ones by mourning and wearing black and miserable, but we're really not. We're not honoring them. So I started this educational fund at the Northern Lights School for my son, Bo. And then Ken had played in this celebrity golf tournament to raise money at the same school. Bo's twin, Ben, my youngest, he is a golfer and he has raised over $100,000 playing golf at this golf tournament. He just raised $36,000 in October, which enables 3 children to go to private school for a year, which really changes lives. And so I feel that, yes, we have had some tragedies in our family, but we have tried to, as difficult it is, help others, which helps us to feel better.
Yeah.
And I think that, everyone is going to grieve in a different way, but I think that if we can look at it from the perspective of our loved one is looking down on us and us trying to do positive things and trying to be happy, I think that would be a really lovely way to grieve. But everyone's different.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really great that you guys are putting in, it's almost like you're putting maybe the pain or just that grieving into giving light to somebody else while you're here on earth. And I think that's so great too, as like a family unit.
It is nice. I really feel good that all of my children have in one way or another helped at the Northern Lights School by doing charity work. And I think it's great if they learn from a young age to do these things, it's something that they will do their entire life. Yeah. I also started a garden at the Edna McGuire School with my friend Lisa Zimmer, who was the principal at the time. There was this kind of abandoned garden, and nutrition and education are very important to me. And so I raised a bunch of money, Lisa and I and a bunch of friends, to grow this garden and an outdoor classroom. And they named it after my son, Bo, which really makes me happy.
Yeah,
and it's so great that the kids from kindergarten up to 5th grade are learning to plant seeds and watching the process of how they grow and then harvesting them and then cooking with it. And I feel that if kids learn at a young age to eat, vegetables and fruits and enjoy it, they're going to, as they get older, eat better than if they're just eating chicken nuggets and fries and pizza.
Yeah, it's so true. And the environment's everything too. So I always notice like who you surround yourself with, of course, and where you surround yourself has a high effect on, like, I believe it's epigenetics, because I like Joe Dispenza. I watch a little bit of his stuff and he goes into like how that affects your body and your mind and your spirit. But I think what I don't know, when you're telling me too about your family and you were going through that situation, and you couldn't really just sit and wallow or just, kind of just put yourself in a dark place, just kind of let yourself go, because you have so many people that are looking for you to have that strength and be like the foundation for everybody. Mm-hmm. I think like as a woman too, I think that's so amazing, because the things that I'm 26 now, but I don't have a family or anything like that, anything yet. But I think it's so beautiful that you can do that and that you have gone through those very, very painful things, even though who would want to go through that?
Right. But I don't think that I don't go through my dark moments. I still have. Last night I was crying in bed about Ken and how I was missing him and Bo. And we were talking a little bit earlier about the 7 steps of grief. And the woman, or the Rabbi Sherry Hirsch, told me that was for terminally ill cancer patients, those 7 steps. It's not for the same for losing your child or your husband. Yeah. So I think that I definitely went through all of those steps. And I think that you don't really you don't get over someone dying. You learn to manage your grief and manage your sadness and sorrow. And I try to think about how grateful I am that the time that I had with Bo and with Ken, it was not nearly enough. I wanted 800 years with both of them and I didn't get it, but I know that they're watching over us. I've seen so many miracles happen since both of them have passed, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to say I think it's so cool that you have that strength and that you're doing it, and I'm really happy to talk to you about everything with
Oh,
it.
thank
So,
you.
um, but I think have you felt any like lingering things that you need to like deal with still, or do you feel like you're at a place where you're pretty, managing, feelings of the loss of everything and you're kind of elevating in your life, or do you feel like there's certain things that still kind of like linger that are kind of like I need to kind of fix that or something like that?
Well, I think we're always trying to fix and improve things on ourselves. So I don't think I'm like, oh, I'm perfectly healed from that. I think it's made me who I am. I think I get triggered by if someone gets sick or if I don't hear from someone, my kids or, people that I love. I get a little triggered, and I know that. And most of the people in my life know that I have these triggers, and they're pretty sensitive to them and know, like, or they'll say, okay, you're scared because of that, but it's not real. So that, I think I've been very lucky that everyone in my life knows me well enough and knows kind of how to handle when they see that I'm sad or if I get really scared about something. So I need, and I actually have gotten a lot better about, like, when people get sick, I'm not just assuming they're going to die, because I did that for a while. I was constantly like, I tell everyone I love them at the end of a conversation. Okay, love you, bye, always. Because I always want people to know that I do love them. And I don't want to ever think like, okay, if that was the last conversation, I didn't tell them I love them. Yeah. So I'm very, that's just a habit that I've gotten into, and my kids have too. So,
yeah, I think I've had things where I've had to learn my whole life of, I've had heavy abandonment issues.
right.
I've gone through lots of like deaths when I was younger. And
Mhm.
I think coming out, this isn't fully about me, but being, 26, I'm kind of like learning to fully love myself and find that kind of like the trauma in my body and kind of, I've been able to kind of work through it and progress is like, wow, like I love myself. I'm here for me and I'm doing amazing. And, that is that. So I think it's cool to kind of, like I said in the beginning, be aware of like your body and your mind and your spirit, because you're just going to be kind of floating. And, there's reasons for pauses or fast progression or, so to say those things like that. But I just love it. I'm just so happy.
Oh.
you know?
I think also I have learned to be kinder to myself. I'm very hard on myself. I don't think I get enough done. I didn't work out enough. But I have really been getting into the habit of being okay with whatever I got done that day. And tomorrow's another day, I'll get it done. And it's, one of my friends told me one time, and it was so great. She said, it was my friend Diana. She said, you would never treat anyone the way you treat yourself. Right. You're like so mean to yourself. You're beating the hell out of yourself. Like, stop. And I thought about that. I'm like, I said, you're right. I would never treat you or anyone the way I will sit and go, oh, I used to do that. I don't anymore. I would be like, oh, you're so dumb. You're so like, I would just beat the crap out of myself. And I don't do that anymore. I'm very mindful of the words that I put out. I try to be very positive, and I'm not perfect at all, but I am very conscious of trying to be my highest self all the time.
Yeah.
And taking a minute. Sometimes I think after losing Ken, I knew that I had to be extra disciplined, which I already am incredibly disciplined because I wake up at the same time. I eat the certain things. I take my vitamins and have a green juice and work out, and I do all these things. But after he died, I found that I couldn't sleep very well because he was my ambient. I would smell him and go to sleep. Yeah. And then I would wrap his clothes around my head so I could smell him and sleep. It was so sad. I mean, I look back and I think, oh, you poor sweet girl. Like, that was so sad. But I started working out twice a day, and it didn't have to be a hard workout. I could maybe go to Pilates or go to yoga or go for a walk. I would try and do something, because when I got some exercise, things seemed a lot softer. I made sure I didn't get too hungry or too thirsty or overtired, because everything just seemed so immense when I did. So those were things that if anyone is going through a loss, just to try and keep things in balance. I prayed a lot. I meditated. I said a lot of affirmations. I tried. It was a lot.
Mhm.
It was a lot.
Yeah, and when you're deep in that pain and it's just like everywhere, you can't like get away from it, you try to like run away as much as you can or whatever. It really is so deep, and I think that's a really good topic to talk about too, is like working through that and finding the things that you or helps you kind of just feel better, like the things that you like. And just know too, for everyone as well, like it'll take time, who knows how long time, but it's a process and you just have to really like work through it yourself.
You're
And
right.
it, there's something that someone told me is it was impermanence is the word, so nothing lasts forever and everything is always changing and evolving too, so you just kind of be aware of like the process and the algorithms of life. Like
Right.
you may still have dreams of them or you may have pain about it, but you will work through it and manage it and grow as a being. And but it's so important to know that it doesn't last forever.
No, and to be grateful for what you have instead of what you don't have. I just read this really great book by Mitch Albom. You know, the guy that did Tuesdays with Maury.
I don't think I've heard that. I'll have to look
Okay, well, it's a really great book, but he talks a lot about death and going through that. There was one part in the book where the character said to God, "Why did you take my wife away?" And God said to him, "Well, what made you think that why can't you be grateful that you had her at all? You had that love." And you just to know that we just